has a blog post, an article, or it was written about him stating that the gay marriage ruling is a just cause for war. And here's what it says. Joining other religious right activists who warn that the Supreme Court will spark a civil war if it strikes down bans on same-sex marriage, Alan Keyes writes in WorldNet Daily that a ruling in favor of gay rights will be just cause for war. Now, Keyes claims that such a decision will be an attack on the very foundation of constitutional government of, by, and for the people of the United States. That, like the Dred Scott decision that heralded the onset of the first Civil War, will bring the nation to the brink and represent a high crime and misdemeanor that effectively dissolves the just bonds of government between and among the states and among the individuals who compose the people of the United States. Now, I frankly do not see that as being that sinister. There are other more pressing things and more important things that I think that would possibly lead to a civil war, as it were. And we have to be careful that we don't let our feelings dictate what we do. We have to be careful. Well, let me give you an example. Most of you probably know about the Jade Helm 15 thing, and there are conspiracy theorists out there that are all upset and all Twitter about it, and you got the preppers and everything are really hunkering down and really preparing for the end because the Jade Helm is just a practice run for full-fledged, total nationwide martial law on the federal level. And you have the governor of Texas who's falling prey a little bit to these conspiracies. And he's now saying that when Jade Helm commences in July, that the state militia, otherwise known as the National Guard, the various National Guards, he will order them to watch closely what the federal military does. And I'm thinking, well, this, you get some conspiracy theorist who happens to be serving in the National Guard, and he could fire up on, our regular military, and that could spark some sort of civil skirmish. But look, I don't happen to fall into this premise that the United States is on the verge of a civil war, and I don't think the American people have been pushed that way that far yet. If anything, the American people might, if they rise up at all, it will not be against each other, but it will be the general population against our federal government. And we see some governors taking a stand against the federal government and not implementing certain things that the federal government is telling them that they have to implement within the state, and they're going against the federal government in certain states and changing some of their laws that fly in the face of federal law. And the glaring example is marijuana and cannabis. We have states that have pretty much fully legalized it for either medical use or for even personal use. And the federal government says no, it doesn't matter. Anybody, it's still a federal crime. But yet you have people within the states that are fully in open defiance of the federal law, and the federal government hasn't taken any action yet. And indeed, the federal government has been put on notice, especially from many sheriffs around the country in these states that are saying, "Yeah, no, don't come into my county unless I give you permission, and you got to tell me exactly why you're coming here. And if you're coming here for marijuana-related issues, leave your guns at the border along with your badges because it's not going to happen." Now, again, the local government, you have to understand, Tip O'Neill was absolutely correct when he said all politics is local. It really depends on how strong the stronger your most local government is, the more your freedoms and rights are going to be protected. Quite simple. If you get down to the county and municipal level and you have mayors and county commissioners and sheriffs who will stand up to the Fed, they'll even stand up to the state, you've got some protection there within that area. And if you've got a governor that's standing up, you've got even more protection. So it's local. Local's important. You know, we focus sometimes way too much on the federal level. But when it comes right down to it, you've got governors and things that can prevent some of the things that the Fed is doing. So, you know, look, the Constitution says that the powers that are not enumerated in the Constitution to the federal government are reserved for the people or their states. So if a state decides, well, you know what, that's not really constitutional, it's not in the Constitution, EPA, we're not gonna honor it. And we're not going to allow you to come in here and enforce it. And indeed, the only way that the federal government can enforce it is by bringing in the military. And do they really want to do that? Because at that particular point, yes, you will start a civil war. That is a scenario that I can see happening of a civil war. But I don't think even Obama is quite that brazen. Yeah, he'll do things underhandedly. But to do it overtly, I don't think he's even that brazen to do that. But I guess time will tell. We will see. You know, we've got another year and a half of him. So, we'll see. And according to some who believe in the Book of Revelations to the letter, they say we don't have a year and a half. But others, I tend to think, I think we have a year and a half. It's not going to be easy. And if we don't elect the right person in November of 2016, I am going to say it's probably all over. It really is. GoFundMe drops campaign for Baltimore rioters after conservatives complain. Yeah, remember there was a complaint from the left when the cake business got shellacked with a $135,000 fine because they didn't bake a cake for a same-sex wedding. You know, because they were Christians and they didn't want to support that. And they got fined, you know, they got sued and taken to court, and they got fined $135,000. So there were people that, you know, that they got together and said, well, this can't happen, this can't stand, kind of like the Memories Pizza. And they ended up raising over $800,000 for that family business. But here it comes, I think their total had gotten up to $105,000 to help them pay that $135,000 fine. And somebody complained to GoFundMe, and GoFundMe yanked the campaign, and they got blasted for that. Rightfully so, but fully understand that, you know, GoFundMe is a private company, and they have the right to do whatever, you know, within reason, what they want to do. So this time, in order to show that they can be fair, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know who the people are that complain, but I'm pretty sure that they were testing GoFundMe to see. And GoFundMe removed a crowdfunding campaign on behalf of jailed Baltimore rioters yesterday, a day after conservatives began complaining about the effort. Now, Greg Scott, Vice President of Media Communications for Alliance Defending Freedom, said he first contacted the company Saturday about the rioters' crowdfunding campaign. Now, his Twitter post decried the campaign were picked up by conservative radio talk show host Dana Loesch, Loesch, and Gateway pundit blogger Jim Hoft. And we first started poking GoFundMe yesterday by contacting the site directly and then via a series of tweets, said Mr. Scott. The purpose has really been either to expose the hypocrisy of GoFundMe for blocking campaigns for our clients to see if they stay consistent. Now, the point is will they be consistent after all eyes are off of them? And they're probably out there saying, well, geez, you know, we got to be careful because we've already been hit hard by the public with our stance on the on the cake business. So now we're going to have to act like we're fair. Now, I don't see the fairness there. I mean, you're talking about a GoFundMe campaign for criminality, defending criminal charges. Look, I know the Clintons had a huge legal defense fund. Well, they needed it. They got themselves, and Billy Boy got himself in some serious hot water back when he was president. And they didn't have that kind of money at the time. They do now, but they didn't then. And they had a huge legal. I mean, people can donate to whomever they want. I don't see in it. I look at it this way: if you want to defend somebody or donate to somebody, no matter what that cause is, and I might even think it's absolutely, totally reprehensible, you have the right to support them if you want, if that's what you freely want to do. This is the United States of America. We have to understand that we take the good, the bad, the ugly, what we love and what we hate. It's all equal. Because what I love, somebody else hates. What somebody else loves, I may hate. I know hate's a strong word, but you get the picture. There may be things that I support that somebody else doesn't support. And there may be things that they support that I do not support. So who gets to have the fair, quote unquote, ruling of, what should be allowed and what shouldn't? We as a society cannot make those determinations. We can decide what type of society that we want to have and be just about it, but we cannot dictate what other people really do, because they can do the same thing to us. And are you going to like it? I don't think so. We're out of time for today, folks. We'll be back here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, be safe out there. I'm Rod Eccles. I'm out.